you come to a relationship, the first thing, when you come to a point where you are considering severing the relationship, a conversation, would you say a conversation needs to
absolutely
take place? And then in preparing for that conversation, I need to attune personally for myself. You need to attune personally for yourself. And then when we come together, if both people are believers, it doesn't matter what path you've chosen, but if both people are believers, it is important, to honor the sacredness of prayer and to set the intention and the tone of the space that the both of you are going to share. Because you're about to pour something into this pot, and you want to put that into something that can handle the heat, or the nature, of the properties that are going to be brought forth. And so there's a lid and a pot, and a container that needs to go into that can handle the simmering that's going to take place when all of this stuff is brought forward. So deciding to have a conversation, attuning yourself prior to even getting with the person so that your spirit is right when you come to the table. Then setting a sacred space with the both of you so that your hearts are both open and your demeanor and everything can be calibrated, so to speak, in that moment. And then setting the rules for the conversation. And we talked about this a little bit off camera, but depending on the level of awareness of each traveler, each person, that's going to determine what type of rules need to be established. Right. If you're operating strongly from the 3D and you're in your flesh and you have very volatile relationships, then you're going to deal with setting rules like don't get up and get in my face, and don't be physically aggressive, or start a fight, or that's not something we're going to entertain. But when you're operating from a higher level of awareness, that's not something you would have to address, because people know that they're not going to hit you or jump up in your face and close physical distance and things like that.
And I think how you step into that, because even as you're talking, I'm just feeling energies from people. I'm just feeling people saying, I don't want to talk now, I just want to get out of there. I think what's important, because you have some relationships where the people, they don't feel like having a conversation. They really don't. They just feel like packing their bags and getting the hell up out of there. But it's important to pause in that moment and honor what this relationship has been. And if you can't honor what it has been, honor why you stepped into it in the first place. And if you can't honor that, then go back to the golden rule. Do unto the other person what you would want done to you. Absolutely. In that situation. So there's a way that you can get there. Even Absolutely. If you don't feel that in the moment, because I'm feeling it. We're just taping this and I'm feeling the energies. Even if you're not there in the moment, take a pause and breathe. Take it higher. Take it outside of yourself. Take it outside of your limited capacity to love. Ask what spirit love, universal love, true love would ask you to do in this moment, so that you can truly step into operating from a place of love. Because we're talking today about how do I separate in love. So
I think that's very important, and I think that is a huge, sparks went off when you said that, because the truth of the matter is this: the evidence is based on the action and the state of mind, your state of being. Right. If you cannot have a conversation, then it's not over. You're not done.
Absolutely.
That is a serious indicator that you're not done.
Absolutely.
Because when you're done, you're ready to lay it all on the line. You just want to get through it. Yeah. When they say when a person is done, they will say, I can even go to Cassette Michelle's song and singing in my head right now, blame it on me. Say it's my fault. Call me a liar, cheater, anything that you want.
It don't matter.
Just let it go.
Right.
It's like, do what you need to do. I don't even care. I'm not attached to however you need to paint this, because I'm so finished. That's the evidence of somebody who's done.
And I'm so happy that you said that, because a lot of relationships, persons will end the relationship and the relationship is not complete.
Absolutely.
It's like you watching a movie. So you stop it halfway. Okay, so you've ended the movie, but you haven't completed the movie. It's not completion. And if there's something in that movie that's drawing you or calling you, whether you watch that in your house or you go to a friend's house and it's showing on their TV and you went there for the night, you're going to have to come to the completion. And if you don't complete it where you are, and you have all of this negative energy, so like you said, we talk about if you don't want to have the conversation or feel like you can't have a conversation, there's a lot of negative stuff that's in there that you just are not prepared to deal with. Truth of the matter is, you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to see it, you don't want to face it, like you say, I'm done. But that energy is still a part of you. That's in you, because you're the one who's dealing with it. And so what do? We carry that negative energy forward into the next relationship. And if we don't resolve it there and that ends, we carry it forward into the next relationship. And so here you experience the same thing happening over and over again, or a repeating of the cycle.
Definitely. I mean, the lesson doesn't go anywhere until you learn. It's just like what the old sages say: when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
And when the student has mastered that, the lesson dissolves. It's no longer there, because it's only there to mirror to you that which you aspire to grow through.
Right.
Go through and grow through. So the fact that you don't want to have a conversation means that it's not complete. It's not complete. So in establishing the rules, going back to that just for a minute, hitting on it, if you're in a really heated conversation, if this is going to be a very heated conversation, something that is very painful for the both of you, and you're in a difficult place, you can bring in different manipulatives to act as control variables in the conversation. And it may sound crazy to some people, but it's good, because it sets the parameters and it helps you to create the tools that you need in order to establish a healthy conversation. So you can bring, you can bring in a I just lost my choker. Okay. You can bring in a timer if you need to, if you have a hard time communicating and the both of you have problems cutting across each other, or not respecting the flow of the conversation. You can bring in a timer. Set the timer for 2 to 3 minutes, which gives each person an opportunity, 3-minute spans of time to say what they need to say. You can also, in my heritage, we have what you call a pea stick or a talking stick, and that doesn't have to actually be a stick. It can be a pen, it can be it can be your phone, it can be anything that you choose to represent, the talking stick. But whoever has that stick in their hand at the moment, that's the only person that should be speaking. There will be no cutting across, so you establish this. No interruptions while the person is speaking. If you're a person who feels that you cannot maintain your thought process and listen at the same time, then bring a pen and a pad to the conversation and be prepared to jot down little thoughts that you had, so that you can go back to that when you have an opportunity to speak, so that you don't miss those key points that you wanted to address. So you can bring your pen and your pad, you can bring a timer, you can develop or identify a talking stick. And another thing is throwing digs. Understanding that sometimes we say some hurtful things to each other, trying to be hurtful. The intention is to be hurtful. That's a moment for pause. So the rules are to establish what pauses the conversation, right? What's going to halt the conversation immediately. When the pause is in effect, that means that the person needs to all parties have agreed prior to the conversation that we are going to stop, and we are going to not only acknowledge what we've done, but we are going to sincerely apologize in the moment for what we've done on the spot. And then once that's done, take a minute to breathe through it, so we can get back in the better, higher energy, and then the conversation can continue. You may be in a conversation and you might have to pause 10 times. That's fine. The whole point is to respect the flow of the conversation and to honor the sacred connection that is available to be had, to be made, to be created.
Yeah, and I want to interject here or reiterate what you said about apologizing. That's so important, because it goes back to a key component that we talked about in having a successful relationship is taking responsibility. So if you know that you're saying something that's not good, if you know that you're saying something that if the same exact thing was said to you, it would hurt you, be willing to apologize. That's a big issue in a lot of relationships, because people don't want to say sorry, but you want to be apologized too. So the thing that you want is the thing that you always have to be prepared to give. And we know, because we know when we trying to hurt somebody by what we say. We're very, very aware of that.
Exactly.
So it's important that you rise above that. Because like we said, even if you do separate, you want to separate in love. You want to separate in peace. You want peace to be over the thing, because going forward, you're going to carry it with you. So you're not doing this for the other person. You're doing this for yourself.
Absolutely.
And in doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the other person as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's very necessary that you take responsibility in the moment. Because I noticed that when most people are in the middle of a conversation, even when they know they're wrong, the last thing they want to do is say they're sorry in a moment. Which I've practiced this for so many years that I don't have a problem apologizing. But I will tell you, my deepest triggers do bring up a challenge. For the most part, I have
a challenge to apologize.
Yes, because even though this has been a relatively easy thing for me to do because I've practiced it for so many years, there are still things that trigger me so deeply. But I am so committed to the higher process and the higher truth that I am not going to dishonor myself by not acknowledging that I need to apologize and that I need to concede to what is greater in this moment and what I am perceiving, and the story that is challenging us as a medium to holding our attention.
And what you said in that is really key, Nine. That there are certain things that are gonna, the pain of it is gonna affect us more so than others. And I'm being reminded of on the weekend, you know, I become a wimp, baby, no good thing, man or myself, when I get a pain in my stomach. I can take a toothache before I can take a pain in my stomach. And when I get a pain in my stomach, like, I shut down. I don't care where I am. I don't care who sees me start moaning. So I was in a store and I double over and I'm in the chair and I'm rolling around in the chair and people are walking up and down. I don't care.
You did that in the middle of the store?
Because I was in so much pain. I cannot tolerate pain in my stomach. I don't know what it is, but I become like a baby, like shut down. But if it's a toothache, I can walk around and you won't even know that I have a toothache. So I like how you said that, and I think it's important for us to identify that, because you have to identify that in the moment that it's happening. Okay, this is hurting me a little bit more. What is it about this? Because it's really not the other person, and it's really not what the other person is saying. What is key is what it's triggering in you.
Absolutely.
And you being able to identify the level of pain or discomfort or irritation or frustration or anger that this particular thing is bringing to you. And it's a signpost that that's something that you need to look into deeper.
And there's a sense of humility also, is because, you know, a lot of people, once they've done something for so long, especially if they teach on it or, you know, this is what they do in their work, they think they've arrived. And they don't want to concede that, well, no, that's not it, because I know this and I know that. The evidence, you know, is on the table based on the behavior and the actions that are present. Right. Spirits, the scriptures tell you that you shall know them by their fruit. Right. You know, and that's, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just a basic premise. We have to go back to that and concede to, your mouth says this, but your actions do this. Right.
And the scripture says you will be known by your fruits, but it's important that you allow yourself to know your fruits. Exactly. You know, because like even like with and things are real. You know, things that happen to us are real to us. And so we need to deal with it for ourselves. Like a person might say, a stomach ache bothers you more than a toothache? Yeah. And some people might think that's crazy, because a lot of people deem a toothache to be one of the worst pains that you have to tolerate. But I have to know my pain and what I can tolerate and what doesn't work for me. And so what I did is I probably ate something or ate a couple of things or didn't do something or didn't drink water that day and ate a bran muffin. That was really dumb. Won't do that again. But I identified it in the moment of what had happened. So you have to be able to look deeper into the thing. And remember, pain comes to get our attention.
It's our friend. We don't look at it like that because it's difficult. But unfortunately, the way that our humanity works, depending on our level of consciousness, pain is the precipice of change. Pain and death is the precipice of change. Nothing gets man's attention more than pain and the threat of death. If you want somebody to change, you want somebody to immediately pop into something, that's what's going to be on the table. Now, what we are inviting you to, what we are even being invited into with the Let's R.A.P.P medium, is choosing to co-create our possibilities prior to being at the point of pain. It's being able to recognize what signals we have that are more subtle before the pain begins.
I'm so happy you said that, because this confirmation for me to say what I was going to say. I saw something over the weekend. It's amazing how things come before these shows that we do. But it was about a diabetic. And they were talking about numbing that happens in the feet as a sign of diabetes. So that's a sign of something that's going on. And what do most people lose when they're diabetic? What limb do they lose the most? They lose their feet. They lose their, from the knee down, the amputation. But the numbing, if you get it at the numbing in the feet that's coming to signal you that something is wrong, and you change and alter what needs to be altered in that moment, pay attention to the signals and the signs, be willing to make the change that is necessary. Diabetes is something that can be cured. You know, change your eating habits, change your exercise routine, you know, be willing to be the change